You arrive at the gates just as the evening settles into its deepest shade of blue. The kingdom stands before you, quiet and patient, its towers rising gently into the dim winter sky. There is no rush to enter, no reason to hurry. The gates are open, as they always are at this hour, and you step through them with slow, measured steps, feeling the cold air settle around your shoulders like a familiar weight. The gates themselves are tall and wrought from iron that has been painted white, or perhaps they were always white, the color of fresh snow or cream. They stand open, each half pushed back against the stone pillars that frame the entrance, and they look as if they have been open for a very long time, perhaps always. There is no guard, no gatekeeper, no one to greet you or ask your purpose. The entrance is simply there, welcoming and still. You pause just inside the gates, standing on the threshold between the world outside and the kingdom within. The air is different here, you notice. It is colder, yes, but it is also cleaner, clearer, as if it has been filtered through layers of ice and snow. You breathe it in slowly, feeling it fill your lungs, and when you exhale, you watch your breath form a small cloud that hangs in the air for a moment before dissolving. The courtyard is empty, as you expected it to be. Snow covers the ground in a thick, even layer, untouched except for the path that leads toward the palace doors. The snow is soft beneath your boots, and with each step you hear the faint crunch of ice crystals breaking, a sound that is both crisp and muffled at the same time. You walk slowly, letting your feet find their own rhythm, and the sound of your footsteps becomes a kind of music, steady and predictable. The courtyard is large, you realize as you cross it, much larger than it appeared from the gates. On either side of the path are low hedges, their branches bare but covered in a fine dusting of snow. The hedges are trimmed into neat, regular shapes, and they line the path like silent sentinels, guiding you forward. Beyond the hedges you can see the outlines of gardens, though they are difficult to make out in the fading light. They are still and quiet, waiting for spring, or perhaps they are content in their winter sleep. You walk slowly, taking your time, and the path seems to lengthen before you, as if the palace is in no hurry to receive you. This does not trouble you. You are in no hurry either. Each step is its own small event, the crunch of snow, the shift of your weight, the cold air on your face. You pay attention to these things, finding a quiet satisfaction in their simplicity. The palace itself is made of something that resembles sugar, though you know it is not. It is stone, but pale and smooth, with a faint sheen that catches the light from the windows. The windows glow softly, each one filled with a warm, amber-colored light that spills out onto the snow, creating long rectangles of gold across the white ground. You pause for a moment to look at these patches of light, noticing how they do not flicker or change, but remain constant and gentle. The walls of the palace rise in gentle curves, not sharp or imposing, but soft and welcoming. The stone has been carved in places delicate patterns that wind around the window frames and along the edges of the walls. The patterns are repetitive, the same motifs appearing over and over, spirals and leaves and small flowers that look as if they might have been pressed into the stone when it was soft. You let your eyes follow these patterns for a while, tracing their paths without thinking, finding comfort in their predictability. Above the windows, the roof slopes gently upward, covered in snow that has settled into an even layer. The snow on the roof is pristine, undisturbed, and it glows faintly in the last light of the evening, a soft white against the deepening blue of the sky. You can see chimneys rising from the roof, tall and narrow, but no smoke comes from them. Everything is still. As you approach the entrance, you notice the bells. They hang from the archway above the door, small silver bells that move slightly in the breeze, though there is almost no wind. They make a soft, intermittent sound, not loud enough to startle, but clear enough to hear. The sound is pleasant and steady, like a heartbeat, and you find yourself slowing your steps even more to match the rhythm of the bells. The bells are arranged in a row, 5 or 6 of them, you think, though it is difficult to count in the dim light. Each one is slightly different in size, and together they create a gentle harmony, the higher notes blending with the lower ones in a way that is soothing and natural. You stand beneath the archway for a moment, listening, letting the sound wash over you. It is the first sound you have heard in the kingdom, apart from your own footsteps, and it makes the place feel lived in, cared for, even though you have seen no one. You push open the door, which swings inward without a sound, and step into the entrance hall. The warmth inside is immediate but not overwhelming. It wraps around you gradually, easing the cold from your face and hands. The hall is wide and long, with a floor of smooth white stone that reflects the light from the chandeliers overhead. The chandeliers are not bright. They hold candles that burn with a low, steady flame, casting a soft glow that fills the space without creating harsh shadows. The entrance hall stretches before you longer than you expected, and you realize that the palace is much larger on the inside than it appeared from the courtyard. This does not surprise you. It feels right, somehow, that the palace should contain more space than seems possible, that it should unfold before you in unexpected ways. The air smells faintly of something sweet and spiced. It is not strong, but it is there, lingering in the background like a memory. You think it might be nutmeg or perhaps cinnamon, mixed with a scent of dried orange peel. It is the kind of smell that makes you think of quiet kitchens and slow afternoons, of things prepared carefully and without haste. You breathe it in, letting it fill your senses, and it adds to the feeling of warmth and welcome that surrounds you. The walls of the entrance hall are painted a pale cream, and they glow softly in the candlelight. There are no windows here, but you do not miss them. The light from the chandeliers is enough, and it creates a sense of enclosure that is comforting rather than confining. You feel protected here, safe from the cold and the night outside. You walk forward, your footsteps echoing lightly against the stone. The hall stretches ahead of you, and you can see other doorways leading off to the sides, but you do not feel the need to explore them yet. There is time for that later, or perhaps there is no need at all. For now you follow the main corridor, letting it guide you deeper into the palace. Your footsteps create a gentle rhythm as you walk, a soft tap-tap that echoes off the walls and ceiling, creating layers of sound that overlap and fade. You listen to this rhythm, finding it soothing, and you adjust your pace slightly, experimenting with the sound, making it slower, softer, until it is barely audible. The walls are decorated with carvings, intricate patterns of leaves and vines that spiral upward toward the ceiling. They are delicate and repetitive, the same motifs appearing again and again, and you find comfort in their predictability. You do not need to study them closely. It is enough to know they are there. framing your path with their quiet presence. The carvings are shallow, barely raised from the surface of the wall, and they catch the light in subtle ways, creating small shadows that shift as you move past. You reach out and touch one of the carvings, letting your fingers trace the outline of a leaf. The stone is smooth and cool, worn by time or perhaps by many other hands that have touched it before yours. The leaf curls at the edges, and your finger follows the curve, moving slowly, feeling the slight ridge where the carving meets the flat surface of the wall. It is a small gesture, this touching, but it connects you to the palace in a way that looking alone cannot. As you walk, you become aware of a sound in the distance. It is faint, almost at the edge of hearing, but it is there. It sounds like music, though it is so soft and slow that it might also be the building itself settling into the night. You listen for a moment, trying to identify the source, and you think you hear the gentle notes of a celesta playing a melody that repeats over and over, each repetition slightly slower than the last. The sound is so faint that you cannot be certain it is real. It might be your imagination, or it might be a memory of music you heard long ago, surfacing now in this quiet place. But whether it is real or imagined does not matter. It is there in the background, and it adds another layer to the atmosphere of the palace, another thread in the tapestry of calm that surrounds you. You continue walking, and the corridor begins to widen. The ceiling rises higher, and you realize you are entering a larger room. This is the Hall of Sweets, though there is no sign to announce it. You simply know, the way you know certain things in dreams, without needing to ask or confirm. The hall is vast, but not empty. Along the walls are shelves and pedestals, each one holding something small and carefully arranged. There are bowls of sugared almonds, their surfaces dusted with fine white powder. There are plates of crystallized ginger, glowing faintly in the candlelight. There are jars of honey, thick and golden, and small pyramids of marzipan, shaped like fruits and flowers. Everything is still and quiet, arranged with care, but left untouched, as if waiting for no one in particular. You approach one of the shelves and look more closely at what it holds. The sugared almonds are in a shallow bowl made of white porcelain, and they are piled high, each one coated in a layer of sugar that is hardened to a smooth, matte finish. The almonds are in different shades of white and cream, some pure white, others faintly ivory or beige, and they catch the light in different ways, some reflecting it, others absorbing it. Next to the bowl is a plate of candied citrus peel, thin strips of orange and lemon that have been coated in sugar and left to dry. The sugar has crystallized on the surface, forming tiny, glittering points that sparkle in the candlelight. You can smell the faint citrus scent rising from the plate, sweet and sharp at the same time, and it mixes with the other smells in the room, the nutmeg and cinnamon and honey, creating a complex layered fragrance that is both familiar and strange. You walk slowly along the edge of the hall, not touching anything, but observing. The colors are muted, soft shades of cream and pale pink, of light brown and ivory. Nothing is bright or jarring. Everything blends together in a way that is restful to the eyes. There are bowls of Turkish delight, soft cubes, dusted with powdered sugar, and plates of nougat, pale and studded with nuts and dried fruit. There are jars of candied violets, their purple petals preserved in sugar, and small dishes of chocolate truffles, dark and smooth, each one perfectly round. Each item is presented simply, without decoration or embellishment, and yet there is a care in the arrangement that speaks of attention and thought. The bowls and plates are spaced evenly along the shelves, and each one is positioned just so, aligned with the others, creating a sense of order and balance. The windows here are tall and arched, reaching nearly to the ceiling. Through them you can see the gardens outside, or what you assume are gardens. It is difficult to tell in the dim light, but you can make out the shapes of hedges and pathways, all covered in snow. The snow reflects the light from inside, creating a faint glow that makes the world outside seem softer, as if it is wrapped in a layer of gauze. You pause at one of the windows and look out. The garden is still and silent, the hedges standing in perfect rows, their branches heavy with snow. You can see a fountain in the center of the garden, though it is not running. The basin is filled with snow, and the statue at the center, a figure of some kind, is barely visible, just a dark shape against the white. You stand at the window for a while, looking out at the garden, and you notice that the light is changing. The sky is growing darker, the blue deepening into something richer, and the first stars are beginning to appear, faint points of light in the vast expanse above. The garden grows dimmer as you watch, the shapes becoming less distinct, blurring into each other, until it is difficult to tell where the hedges end and the sky begins. You find a place to sit, a low bench upholstered in deep blue velvet, positioned near one of the windows. You lower yourself onto it slowly, feeling the cushion give beneath your weight. The velvet is cool at first, but it warms quickly, and you settle into it, resting your hands in your lap. The bench is long enough to lie down on, though you do not feel the need to do so yet. You sit with your back straight, your feet flat on the floor, your hands resting gently on your thighs. The position is comfortable, neither too rigid nor too relaxed, and you find that you can sit this way for a long time without discomfort. The velvet beneath you is soft and slightly worn, as if many people have sat here before you, though you have seen no one. The fabric has a faint sheen in the candlelight, and when you run your hand across it, the color seems to shift from deep blue to almost black, depending on the angle of the light. You move your hand back and forth a few times, watching the color change, finding a simple pleasure in this small variation. From here, you can see more of the hall. There are other benches like yours, placed at intervals along the walls, and a few small tables, each one holding a candle or a bowl of something sweet. The floor is covered in a thick carpet, woven in shades of burgundy and gold, with patterns that echo the carvings on the walls. The carpet muffles your footsteps, or would if you were still walking, and it adds another layer of softness to the space. You notice the patterns in the carpet more clearly now that you are sitting still. They are geometric, interlocking shapes that repeat across the surface, diamonds and hexagons and stars, all woven in different shades of the same colors. The pattern is complex, but not overwhelming. Your eyes can follow it easily, tracing the lines from one shape to the next, and the repetition is soothing, almost hypnotic. The candles on the tables burn steadily, their flames small and unwavering. You watch one of them for a while, noticing how the flame does not move, does not flicker or dance, but remains perfectly still, as if the air itself is holding its breath. The wax around the wick has melted into a small pool, and the pool is smooth and flat, reflecting the light from the flame in a way that makes it seem to glow from within. The music is clearer now, though still faint. You can hear the notes of the celesta more distinctly, each one falling like a drop of water into a still pool. The melody is simple and repetitive, and you do not try to follow it or anticipate the next note. You simply let it wash over you, becoming part of the background, like the light and the warmth and the faint smell of spices. The melody repeats, and you begin to recognize it, or think you do. It is a familiar tune, something you might have heard in childhood, though you cannot place it exactly. The familiarity is comforting, even if the memory itself is vague and incomplete. It does not matter whether you remember the tune or not. What matters is the feeling it evokes, a sense of safety and calm, of being cared for. You sit for a long time, though you are not sure how long. Time feels different here, slower and less urgent. There is no clock ticking, though you imagine there must be one somewhere, perhaps in another room. You think you can hear it, very faintly, a soft, steady tick that blends with the music and the silence. The ticking is so faint that you cannot be sure it is real. It might be your own heartbeat, or the sound of blood moving through your veins, or simply a rhythm your mind has created to fill the silence. But it is there, steady and unchanging, and it adds to the sense of order and predictability that pervades the hall. You let your gaze wander around the room, not focusing on anything in particular, just taking in the whole. The shelves with their carefully arranged sweets, the windows with their view of the darkening garden, the candles burning steadily on the tables, the carpet with its intricate patterns, the benches lined up along the walls. Everything is in its place. Everything is as it should be, and there is a deep satisfaction in this, a feeling of rightness that settles over you like a blanket. After a while you stand again, moving without any particular intention. Your body feels heavy but not tired, as if you have been resting for hours already. You walk across the hall, toward another doorway that you had not noticed before. It is open, and through it you can see a staircase, wide and gently curving, leading upward. The transition from sitting to standing is gradual. You place your hands on your knees and push yourself up slowly, feeling the weight of your body, the slight stiffness in your legs from sitting. You stand for a moment, letting your blood settle, and then you take a step forward and another, and your legs remember how to move, how to carry you. You cross the hall slowly, your footsteps soft on the thick carpet. As you walk, you pass one of the small tables, and you pause to look at what it holds. There is a candle, as you expected, and next to it a small bowl of candied chestnuts. The chestnuts are dark and glossy, coated in a thin layer of sugar that is hardened to a shine. They smell faintly sweet, with a deeper, earthier note underneath, and you stand there for a moment just looking at them, appreciating their simple presence. You reach the doorway and pause on the threshold, looking up at the staircase. The stairs are wide enough for 3 or 4 people to walk side by side, and they curve gently to the right as they ascend. The steps are shallow, each one rising only slightly higher than the last, so that the climb is gradual and easy. You begin to climb the stairs, taking each step slowly and deliberately. The staircase is made of the same pale stone as the rest of the palace, and it is covered with a runner of soft fabric, dark green, with a pattern of silver thread. Your hand rests lightly on the banister, which is smooth and cool under your palm. The banister is made of wood, you realize, though it has been painted white to match the stone. The paint is old and slightly worn in places, revealing the dark wood underneath, and you can feel these worn spots under your hand as you climb, small patches of smoothness and a surface that is otherwise uniformly painted. The silver thread in the runner catches the light as you climb, creating small points of brightness that move as you move. The pattern is of leaves and vines, similar to the carvings on the walls below, and it winds up the center of the runner in a continuous line that draws your eye upward, guiding you as you climb. Each step makes a soft sound, a faint creak of the wood beneath the stone, or perhaps it is the runner shifting under your weight. The sound is barely audible, but it is there, regular and predictable, matching the rhythm of your ascent. You count the steps as you climb, not consciously, but your mind does it anyway, keeping track. 10 steps, then 20, then 30. The staircase is longer than it appeared from below. As you climb, you notice that the light is changing. The amber glow from the chandeliers below grows fainter, and the light here is softer, more diffuse. It comes from small sconces set into the walls, each one holding a single candle that burns with a low, steady flame. The flames do not flicker. They remain perfectly still, as if there is no air movement at all. The sconces are spaced evenly along the wall, one for every 10 steps or so, and they create pools of light that overlap slightly, ensuring that the staircase is never dark, but never too bright either. The light is gentle, almost tender, and it makes the climb feel safe and protected, as if you are being guided by unseen hands. You pause midway up the staircase, resting your hand on the banister, and look back down at the hall below. From here, you can see the entire space, the shelves with their suites, the benches along the walls, the windows with their view of the garden. Everything looks smaller from this height, more contained, and you feel a sense of distance, as if you are leaving something behind, though you know you can return whenever you wish. The music is still audible, though fainter now, as if it is fading into the background of your awareness. The celesta plays its slow, repetitive melody, and you listen for a moment, letting it anchor you, before you turn and continue climbing. The staircase curves gently, and you follow it without thinking, trusting that it will lead somewhere you want to be. The steps continue, shallow and regular, and you climb them one at a time, feeling the slight give of the runner beneath your feet, the coolness of the banister under your hand, the warmth of the candlelight on your face. Finally, the staircase ends, and you find yourself on a landing. The landing is small and square, with a single window set into the wall opposite the stairs. Through the window, you can see the night sky, deeper and darker than it was before, and the stars are more visible now, scattered across the darkness in patterns you do not recognize. The staircase curves gently, and you follow it without thinking, trusting that it will lead somewhere you want to be. The music is still audible, though fainter now, as if it is coming from far away or as if it is fading into the background of your awareness. You reach the top of the stairs and find yourself in a corridor. This one is narrower than the one below, and the ceiling is lower, but it is no less welcoming. The walls are lined with tapestries, heavy fabric woven with images of winter scenes. You can see forests of bare trees, their branches heavy with snow, and fields that stretch into the distance, empty and white. The colors are muted, shades of gray and blue and pale cream, and the images are softened by the dim light. You walk slowly along the corridor, letting your fingers trail along the wall, feeling the texture of the tapestries beneath your hand. The fabric is thick and slightly rough, woven from wool or something similar, and it has a warmth to it that the stone walls lack. The images in the tapestries are detailed, but not sharp. They have a softness to them as if they have been washed many times, or as if they were always meant to be seen through a veil. In one tapestry you see a frozen lake, its surface smooth and white, surrounded by trees. In another, a small cottage sits alone in a field of snow, smoke rising from its chimney in a thin, straight line. In a third, deer stand motionless among the trees, their breath visible in the cold air. Each image is peaceful, each one a moment of winter captured and held. You walk along the corridor, passing several doors, all of them closed. You do not feel the need to open them. They are simply there, part of the architecture, and you are content to leave them as they are. At the end of the corridor, you find another door, this one slightly ajar, and through the gap you can see a faint glow. You push the door open gently and step inside. The room is small and circular, with walls that curve inward toward a domed ceiling. The ceiling is painted with stars, small points of silver, against a background of deep indigo, and they seem to glow faintly, though you are not sure if they are painted with something luminous or if it is simply the way the candlelight reflects off them. The stars are arranged in patterns, constellations you do not recognize, and they cover the entire surface of the dome, from the edges where the ceiling meets the walls all the way to the center, where they converge in a dense cluster that might be meant to represent the Milky Way. You stand in the center of the room and look up, tilting your head back, letting your eyes wander over the painted sky. The stars seem to shift and move as you look at them, or perhaps it is your eyes adjusting to the dim light. Some stars seem brighter than others, and some seem to pulse faintly, though this might be an illusion created by the candlelight. You watch them for a long time, feeling your neck begin to ache slightly from the angle, but you do not mind. There is something mesmerizing about the painted sky, something that holds your attention without effort. In the center of the room is a large window, arched and reaching nearly to the floor. Through it, you can see the forest beyond the palace grounds. The trees are tall and dark, their branches heavy with snow, and they stand perfectly still against the night sky. The sky itself is a deep, comforting blue, darker than twilight, but not yet black, and you can see a few stars beginning to appear, faint and distant. You approach the window slowly, drawn by the view. Your footsteps are silent on the stone floor, and you move as if in a dream, each movement slow and deliberate. The window is taller than you are, and the glass is old, slightly wavy, so that the view through it is distorted in subtle ways. The trees seem to bend and sway, though you know they are perfectly still, and the stars seem to shimmer and dance. The glass is cold when you touch it, and you can feel the chill radiating from it, but it is not unpleasant. It is a reminder of the world outside, of the winter night that surrounds the palace, and it makes the warmth inside feel even more precious. You press your palm flat against the glass, feeling the cold seep into your skin, and you leave it there for a moment, watching your breath fog the glass around your hand. When you pull your hand away, There is a faint imprint left behind, the outline of your palm and fingers visible in the condensation. You watch as the imprint slowly fades, the moisture evaporating in the warmth of the room, until there is no trace of it left. You stand at the window for a long time, watching the forest. Nothing moves. The trees stand in perfect silence, and the snow on their branches remains undisturbed. You can see no animals, no signs of life, only the trees and the snow and the quiet sky above. The forest is deep and dark, stretching into the distance until it fades into the night, and you feel a sense of vastness, of space that extends far beyond what you can see. After a while, you notice a door on the far side of the room, another one you had not seen at first. It is open, and through it you can see a balcony. The balcony is small, just wide enough for 1 or 2 people, and it is enclosed by a low railing of carved stone. You step through the doorway and out onto the balcony, feeling the cold air touch your face. The cold is sharp at first, but not biting. It clears your head and makes you more aware of your breath, which you can see now, forming small clouds in the air before dissipating. You rest your hands on the railing and look out over the forest. The railing is carved with the same patterns you have seen throughout the palace, leaves and vines spiraling along its length. The stone is cold and smooth under your hands, and you can feel the carvings beneath your palms, the ridges and grooves that create the pattern. You run your hands along the railing, feeling the repetition of the design, the way it curves and loops, always returning to the same motifs. From here, the view is even more expansive. You can see the tops of the trees, row upon row of them, stretching into the distance until they fade into the darkness. The snow on the branches catches what little light there is, creating a faint shimmer, like stars brought down to earth. The forest is a sea of white and dark, waves of snow and branches that roll away from you in all directions. You breathe slowly in and out, and the rhythm of your breath matches the rhythm of the night. Everything is still. There is no wind, no movement, no sound, except for the faint, distant chime of the bells from somewhere below, so soft now that you might be imagining it. The sound is so faint that it blends with the silence, becoming part of it rather than breaking it. You stand on the balcony for a long time, letting the cold settle into your skin. It seeps through your clothes, touching your arms and legs, your chest and back, and you feel it spread through your body, a slow, creeping coldness that is somehow not unpleasant. It wakes you up, makes you more aware of your body, of the boundary between yourself and the air around you. The sky above you is growing darker, the blue deepening into something richer and more velvety, and the stars are becoming more visible, though they remain faint and far away. They appear one at a time or in small clusters, emerging from the darkness like seeds sprouting from soil. You watch them appear, counting them silently, though you lose count after a while and simply watch. After some time you turn and go back inside, leaving the balcony door open behind you. The warmth of the room welcomes you back, and you feel the contrast between the cold outside and the warmth inside, a gentle oscillation that is soothing in its predictability. You cross the room and find another doorway, this one leading to yet another corridor. You follow it, moving slowly, your footsteps silent on the thick carpet. The corridor is lined with more windows, and through them you can see different views of the palace grounds. There are gardens, though they are difficult to make out in the darkness, and courtyards empty and covered in snow, and pathways that wind between hedges and under archways. You pass a grandfather clock, standing tall and silent against one wall. Its face is ornate, with golden hands and Roman numerals, and you notice that the hands are moving, though so slowly that you have to watch for a long moment to be sure. The pendulum swings back and forth, a slow, steady rhythm that you can hear now, a soft tick-tock that fills the corridor with its presence. You pause beside the clock, listening to its rhythm. It is comforting, this steady sound, and you find yourself matching your breathing to it, inhaling on one tick, exhaling on the next. The clock does not hurry, it does not skip or falter. It simply continues, marking time in its own patient way. You move on, following the corridor as it curves gently to the left. The light here is even softer, coming from candles that are set farther apart, their flames smaller and more subdued. The walls are painted a pale lavender, a color that seems to absorb the light rather than reflect it, and the effect is calming, almost hypnotic. You come to another staircase, this one narrower and steeper than the last. You descend slowly, holding the banister, feeling the slight give of the wooden steps beneath your weight. The air grows cooler as you go down, and you realize you are moving toward the lower levels of the palace, perhaps even below ground. At the bottom of the stairs, you find yourself in a wide, low-ceilinged room. The walls are made of stone, rough and unadorned, and the floor is covered with rushes that rustle softly as you walk across them. There are no windows here, but the room is lit by oil lamps set into niches in the walls, their flames burning low and steady. In the center of the room is a large table, long and heavy, made of dark wood. On the table are several objects: a bowl of dried fruit, a pitcher of water, a loaf of bread. They are arranged simply, without ceremony, and you understand that they are there if you need them, but there is no expectation that you will take them. You walk around the table, running your hand along its surface. The wood is smooth and cool, worn by years of use. You can see the faint marks of knives and the indentations where plates have rested, and these signs of age and use make the table feel familiar, like something you have known for a long time. There is a door on the far side of the room, smaller than the others you have passed through, and made of heavy oak. You push it open and step through into a passageway. The passageway is narrow and dimly lit, with walls that curve inward, and it slopes gently downward. You follow it, moving slowly, feeling the coolness of the stone through the soles of your boots. The passageway opens into another room, this one even larger than the last. It is a storage room, you realize, filled with shelves and barrels and crates. The shelves are lined with jars and bottles, each one labeled in careful handwriting. The barrels are sealed with wooden lids, and the crates are stacked neatly against the walls. There is a smell here, faint but pleasant, of dried herbs and preserved fruits, of things kept safe and protected from the passage of time. You walk among the shelves, not looking for anything in particular, but simply observing. The jars are filled with all manner of things: pickled vegetables, jams, honey, dried flowers. Each one is a small world unto itself, sealed and still. You notice a ladder leaning against one of the shelves, and beside it a small stool. You sit down on the stool, resting for a moment. The room is quiet, the kind of quiet that comes from being deep underground, away from the sounds of the world above. You can hear your own breathing, slow and even, and the faint creak of the wooden stool beneath you. After a while you stand and make your way back through the passageway, retracing your steps. You climb the narrow staircase again, emerging into the corridor with the lavender walls. The light seems even softer now, or perhaps your eyes have adjusted, and the corridor feels more familiar than it did before. You continue walking, following the corridor as it leads you deeper into the palace. You pass more rooms, some with doors open, others closed. Through the open doors, you catch glimpses of what lies inside. A library with shelves that reach to the ceiling, a music room with a piano covered in a white cloth, a sitting room with chairs arranged around a fireplace that is dark and cold. You do not stop to explore these rooms. There is no need. You are content to keep moving, to let the palace reveal itself to you in its own time, at its own pace. Eventually you come to a set of double doors, taller and wider than the others. They are slightly open, and through the gap you can see a faint light, warmer and more golden than the light in the corridor. You push the doors open and step inside. The room is a conservatory, filled with plants and trees. The ceiling is made of glass, and through it you can see the night sky, the stars now fully visible, scattered across the darkness like seeds. The plants are not tropical or lush. They are winter plants, evergreens and hollies, their leaves dark and waxy, and they fill the room with a faint, clean scent. The conservatory is larger than you expected, and it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust to the space. The plants are arranged in beds and pots, some on the floor, others on raised platforms, creating different levels and layers. The evergreens are tall, some reaching nearly to the glass ceiling, their branches spreading out in all directions, creating a canopy overhead. The holly bushes are smaller, clustered together in groups, their leaves dark green and glossy, with sharp points along the edges. Some of the holly bushes have berries, small red dots that stand out against the dark leaves, and they catch the light in the same way the sugared almonds in the Hall of Sweets did, with a soft, muted glow. There are pathways between the plants, winding and narrow, and you follow one, letting it guide you. The floor is made of smooth stone, and it is cool beneath your feet. The air is still and quiet, and you can hear the faint rustle of leaves as you brush past them. The rustling is soft, barely audible, but it is there, a gentle reminder that the plants are real, that they are alive even in this quiet place. The scent in the conservatory is clean and sharp, the smell of pine and cedar and other evergreens. It is not sweet, but it is pleasant, refreshing in a way that makes you want to breathe deeply. You inhale slowly, filling your lungs with the scent, and you feel a slight tingling in your nose, the sharpness of the pine oils. You walk slowly along the pathway, your steps careful and deliberate. The pathway curves and winds between the plants, sometimes doubling back on itself, sometimes opening into small clearings where there are benches or small fountains. You pass one of these clearings and pause to look. The bench is made of stone, simple and unadorned, and it is positioned facing a small fountain. The fountain is not running, but the basin is filled with water, clear and still. You approach the fountain and look down into the water, seeing your reflection, faint and wavering in the dim light. The water is cold when you touch it, and you let your fingers rest on the surface for a moment before pulling them back. The coldness is a shock, sharp and immediate, but it fades quickly, leaving only a faint numbness in your fingertips. You rub your fingers together, feeling the moisture on your skin, and then you wipe them on your clothes. You sit down on the edge of the fountain, feeling the cold stone through your clothes. The conservatory is peaceful, a pocket of green in the midst of winter, and you let yourself relax into the stillness. The stars above you seem closer here, framed by the glass ceiling, and you watch them for a long time, not thinking, just observing. The glass ceiling is old, you notice, and it is divided into many small panes, each one held in place by thin strips of metal. Some of the panes are slightly clouded, and some have small imperfections, bubbles or ripples in the glass, and these imperfections create small distortions in the view of the sky. The stars seem to shift and shimmer as your eyes move from pane to pane, and it creates a sense of movement, even though you know the stars themselves are still. You sit on the edge of the fountain for a long time, listening to the silence. There is no music here, no ticking clock, no distant bells. There is only the faint rustle of leaves when you move, and the sound of your own breathing, slow and steady. The silence is complete, and it wraps around you like a blanket, heavy and warm. The light in the conservatory is beginning to fade, you notice, or perhaps it is just that your eyes are growing heavier. The golden glow seems softer, more diffuse, and the shadows between the plants are deepening. You do not feel alarmed by this. It is simply the natural progression of the evening, the palace settling into its deepest quiet. After a while you stand and leave the conservatory, passing back through the double doors and into the corridor. Your steps are slower now, more deliberate, as if your body is remembering how to move through sleep. The corridor seems longer than it did before, or perhaps you are simply taking more time to walk it. Each step feels heavier, more effortful, but not unpleasantly so. It is the heaviness of rest, of relaxation, of letting go. You pass the grandfather clock again, and you notice that the hands have barely moved. Time here is different, you remind yourself, slower and less insistent. The clock continues its steady tick-tock, and you pause again to listen, finding comfort in its unchanging rhythm. The pendulum swings back and forth, a slow, mesmerizing movement, and you watch it for a while, your eyes following its arc, left to right, right to left, over and over. You continue on, and the corridor begins to widen once more. The walls are painted a pale cream now, and the carpet beneath your feet is thicker, softer. You can feel it through your boots, a gentle cushion that makes each step quieter and easier. The carpet is so thick that you cannot hear your footsteps at all anymore, and this adds to the sense of floating, of moving through a dream. You come to another staircase, this one wide and shallow, the steps barely rising. You climb it slowly, feeling the effort in your legs, a pleasant heaviness that speaks of rest and relaxation. At the top of the stairs you find yourself in a hallway lined with doors, each one identical to the next. The doors are painted white, and each one has a small brass handle, polished to a shine. The doors are evenly spaced along the hallway, and they create a sense of repetition, of sameness, that is both comforting and slightly disorienting. You walk along the hallway, looking at each door as you pass, but you do not feel compelled to open them. You choose one at random and open it. Inside is a bedroom, small and simple, with a single bed covered in white linens. The bed looks inviting, but you are not ready to stop yet. You close the door and move on, passing more doors, more rooms, each one a quiet invitation that you gently decline. Each room you glimpse is similar to the last, simple and clean, with white walls and minimal furniture, and each one seems to whisper of rest, of sleep, of letting go. Finally, you come to a door at the end of the hallway. This one is different, slightly larger, with carvings around the frame. The carvings are of the same leaves and vines you have seen throughout the palace, but here they are more elaborate, more detailed, as if this door is special in some way. You run your fingers over the carvings, feeling the smooth curves and sharp points, and then you push the door open and step inside. The room is large and circular, much like the one you found earlier with the balcony, but this one is different. The floor is covered with cushions, dozens of them, piled high and arranged in loose clusters. They are made of silk and velvet in shades of cream and lavender and pale blue, and they look impossibly soft. The cushions are of different sizes, some large and square, others small and round, and they are piled on top of each other in a way that looks haphazard, but is somehow inviting. You walk toward them, and as you get closer, you can see the fabrics more clearly. The silk has a soft sheen, and the velvet has a deep pile that catches the light, and together they create a surface that seems to glow faintly in the dim light. There are no windows here, but the walls are painted with murals. The murals depict scenes from the sugar-plum gardens, though you have not seen these gardens yourself. There are trees heavy with fruit, their branches bending under the weight, and flowers in shades of pink and white, their petals just beginning to open. The colors are muted, softened by time or by intention, and they blend into each other in a way that makes it difficult to tell where one image ends and another begins. You walk slowly around the room, looking at the murals. In one section, you see a path winding through a garden, lined with flowers that seem to glow faintly. In another, you see a fountain, much like the one in the conservatory, but this one is running, water spilling from the top and cascading down in gentle streams. In a third, you see figures, faint and indistinct, walking among the trees, their forms barely visible, as if they are made of mist. The murals seem to shift and change as you look at them, or perhaps it is the light, or perhaps it is your eyes. The colors fade and brighten, the shapes blur and sharpen, and you find that you cannot focus on any one detail for long. Your eyes keep moving, sliding from one image to the next, unable to settle. In the center of the room is a small table, and on the table is a single candle. The candle is nearly burned down, the flame small and wavering, but it provides just enough light to see by. You walk toward the table, and as you do, you notice that the music is back, or perhaps it never left. The celesta is playing again, so softly that it is almost imagined, the notes falling slowly, like snowflakes. The melody is the same as before, or you think it is. It is difficult to be sure. The notes are so faint, and they come so slowly, that it is hard to connect them into a coherent tune. But it is there in the background, a gentle presence that fills the room without demanding attention. You lower yourself onto the cushions, feeling them give beneath your weight. They are as soft as they looked, and you sink into them, your body molding to their shape. The silk is cool against your skin, but it warms quickly, and you let yourself relax completely, feeling the tension drain from your muscles. The cushions seem to hold you, to cradle you, and you feel supported in a way that is deeply comforting. You shift slightly, arranging the cushions around you, pulling one under your head, another under your knees. You adjust and readjust, finding the most comfortable position, and with each adjustment, you sink a little deeper, relax a little more. The silk and velvet are smooth against your skin, and the cushions are so soft that you feel as if you are floating, suspended in a cloud. From here you can see the murals more clearly, and you let your eyes wander over them, not focusing on any one detail, but taking in the whole. The colors seem to shift and blur as you watch, the pinks fading into creams, the whites blending into lavenders. It is restful to watch this slow transformation, and you do not try to make sense of it or find meaning in it. It simply is, and that is enough. The sugar-plum trees in the murals seem to sway slightly, though you know this is impossible. The flowers seem to open and close, their petals moving in a slow, rhythmic pattern that matches the rhythm of your breathing. The figures among the trees seem to walk, moving slowly along the paths, but they never get anywhere, never arrive at any destination. They simply walk endlessly in a loop that has no beginning and no end. The candle on the table flickers, and you watch the flame dance, a tiny point of light in the growing darkness. The flame is hypnotic, and you find your breathing slowing to match its rhythm, in and out, slow and steady. The flame sways gently, though there is no breeze, and you watch it move, back and forth, a slow pendulum of light. The wax around the wick has melted into a small pool, and the pool has hardened at the edges, creating a rim of solid wax that holds the liquid center. The flame floats on this liquid wax, and as it burns, the pool grows larger very slowly, the heat melting more wax at the edges. You watch this process, fascinated by its slowness, by the way nothing seems to happen, and yet everything is changing, imperceptibly, moment by moment. The music is fading now, the notes of the celesta growing fainter and farther apart. You can still hear it, but it is more like a memory than a sound, something that exists at the edge of your awareness. The melody repeats, or you think it does, but each repetition is slower and quieter than the last. The notes come so slowly now that you can count the seconds between them, and with each gap the silence grows deeper, more complete. You listen to the silence between the notes, and you realize that the silence is not empty. It is filled with small sounds, sounds you had not noticed before. The faint rustle of the silk cushions as you breathe, the soft creak of the palace settling, the distant, almost inaudible hum of the night itself. These sounds are so quiet that they are barely there, but they create a texture, a richness to the silence that makes it feel alive. You close your eyes, or perhaps they close themselves. It is difficult to tell. The darkness behind your eyelids is soft and warm, and you let yourself sink into it, feeling the cushions beneath you, and the faint music in the air, and the slow, steady rhythm of your own breath. Your breath has become so slow now, so deep, that each inhalation seems to take forever, and each exhalation seems to last even longer. You breathe in, and you feel the air enter your lungs cool and clean, filling them from the bottom to the top. You hold the breath for a moment, feeling the fullness, the expansion of your chest, and then you breathe out, slowly, evenly, feeling the air leave your body in a long, gentle stream. And then you pause, resting in the emptiness before the next breath begins. This rhythm becomes everything. There is nothing else, just the breath, in and out, slow and steady, like waves on a shore, like the ticking of a clock, like the beating of a heart. You are the breath, and the breath is you, and there is no separation between them. You think you hear the bells again, the soft silver bells from the entrance, but they are so faint now that they might be part of the music or part of the silence. They chime once, twice, and then fade into nothing, leaving only the quiet. Or perhaps they did not chime at all. Perhaps it was just your mind, creating sound where there is none, filling the emptiness with echoes of things you heard before. The room is growing darker, you notice, or perhaps it is your eyes adjusting, or perhaps it is simply time. The candle on the table is barely burning now, the flame so small that it is almost invisible, just a faint glow in the darkness. The murals on the walls are fading, the colors dissolving into shadow, the images becoming less distinct, harder to see. The sugar-plum trees are almost gone now, just faint outlines in the darkness. The flowers are disappearing, their petals blending into the walls, becoming part of the background. The figures walking among the trees have faded completely, and you can no longer see them, though you imagine they are still there, still walking, still moving through their endless loop. You do not move. There is no need to move. You are where you need to be, surrounded by softness and warmth and quiet. The cushions hold you gently, and you let yourself relax even more deeply, feeling the weight of your body, the slow rise and fall of your chest, the faint pulse of your heartbeat. Your heartbeat is so slow now, so quiet, that you have to concentrate to feel it, and even then, you are not sure if what you feel is real or imagined. The murals on the walls are barely visible now, just shapes and colors in the dim light. The sugar-plum trees, the flowers, the gardens you have not seen, they're all fading into the darkness, becoming part of the night. You watch them disappear, or you think you do, but your eyes are so heavy that it is difficult to be sure. Your eyelids are like weights pulling down, and you let them close, let them stay closed, let the darkness take over. The music has stopped, or perhaps it was never there. The silence is complete now, a thick, soft silence that wraps around you like a blanket. You can hear nothing, not even the ticking of the distant clock, not even the sound of your own breathing. There is only stillness. The silence is so complete that it becomes a presence, a thing in itself, something you can feel against your skin, something you can taste in the air. The candle goes out. You do not see it happen, but you know it has, because the darkness is complete now, absolute and gentle. You are not afraid. The darkness is kind, and it holds you as surely as the cushions do, as surely as the palace itself. The darkness is soft and warm, and it seeps into you, filling the spaces between your thoughts, dissolving the boundaries between sleep and waking, between being and not being. You let go, or perhaps there is nothing to let go of. You are simply here, in this room, in this palace, in this moment that stretches out in all directions, timeless and still. The cushions are soft beneath you, and the silk is warm, and you are sinking slowly, gently, into a sleep that feels as light as powdered sugar and as deep as the winter night. There is no need to think, no need to wonder, no need to do anything at all. You are held, and you are safe, and you are drifting slowly into the quiet darkness where there is nothing but rest. The palace holds you, the night holds you, The silence holds you, and you let yourself be held. Let yourself dissolve into the stillness, into the softness, into the deep, enveloping peace. Your breathing slows even more, each breath coming so slowly now that the gaps between them seem to last forever. You breathe in and you hold, and you breathe out and you hold, and with each cycle, the world grows dimmer, quieter, farther away. The cushions beneath you seem to soften even more, or perhaps you are sinking deeper into them, and the line between your body and the cushions is blurring, disappearing. You are aware of your body, but only distantly, as if it is something separate from you, something you are observing rather than inhabiting. You can feel your hands resting on the silk, but you cannot feel where your hands end and the silk begins. You can feel your head on the cushion, but you cannot tell where your head ends and the cushion begins. Everything is blending together, merging, becoming one. The palace is silent. The halls are empty. The snow outside continues to fall, each flake settling soundlessly onto the ground, covering the paths and the gardens and the courtyards in a blanket of white. The bells are still. The clock has stopped, or perhaps it continues to tick, so slowly that it cannot be heard. The candles have burned down, their flames extinguished, leaving only darkness. And you are asleep, or nearly asleep, or perhaps you have been asleep all along. It does not matter. There is no difference now between waking and sleeping, between being and not being. There is only this, the softness, the warmth, the quiet, the slow, gentle descent into nothing. The kingdom waits, patient and still, as it always has, as it always will. The towers stand against the night sky, their pale walls glowing faintly in the starlight. The gates remain open, though no one comes or goes. The halls are empty, the rooms are dark, and everything is exactly as it should be. You breathe in, slow and deep, and then out again, slower still. The rhythm is fading now, becoming so slow that it is almost imperceptible, almost not there at all. You can barely feel the breath entering your body, barely feel it leaving. It is happening, you know it is happening, but it is so slow, so quiet, that it seems almost like it is not happening at all. And then, finally, there is nothing. No breath, no sound, no movement, only stillness. The breath has stopped or slowed to the point where it cannot be distinguished from stillness. The heartbeat has stopped or slowed to the point where it cannot be felt. You are still, completely still, and the stillness is not empty. It is full, rich, complete. It is everything. The snow continues to fall outside, soft and silent, covering everything in white. The stars above shine faintly, distant and cold, and the night stretches on, endless and calm. The forest stands silent, the trees heavy with snow, and nothing moves, nothing stirs, nothing breaks the perfect stillness. And you are gone, or nearly gone, dissolved into the quiet, into the darkness, into the deep, peaceful sleep that has no end and no beginning. That simply is, and has always been, and will always be. You are part of the palace now, part of the night, part of the snow and the stars and the silence. You are everywhere and nowhere, everything and nothing, present and absent, all at once. The kingdom sleeps, and you sleep with it, lost in the softness and the silence and the slow, gentle pull of a rest that asks nothing and gives everything, that holds you close and lets you go all at once forever. There is no you anymore, only the sleep, only the stillness, only the quiet dissolution into the vast enveloping peace. And there is nothing more to say, nothing more to think, nothing more to do. Only this, the quiet, the stillness, the soft, unending sleep. The palace is a shadow now, a memory, a dream within a dream, and you are part of it, woven into its fabric, indistinguishable from the cushions and the candles and the snow outside. Everything is soft. Everything is still. Everything is fading, slowly, gently, into the deep indigo night. And there is peace.